Welcome back to the world's most dangerous podcast, Not So Common NSC. It's just me again. Q's not here. He's out for work, you know how Q does. Out here with Laura. How you say your last name?
Villaflor.
Villaflor. Got side architect. You can't see him on
Yes,
Facebook
sir.
Live, but you can see him on here.
You see me? You hear me?
You hear him?
That's all we need.
Yeah. It's the first official show of the new year.
Hey, congratulations on that.
Back.
Hey.
Glad you back.
Glad to be back.
Thank you for coming through.
Yeah.
How many years has been since you had this podcast now?
2 years.
That's crazy.
2 years. So we're going strong.
That's crazy.
I appreciate y'all.
Congratulations.
I want to say, Happy New Year to both of you too.
Thank you.
Happy New Year's to you too.
Y'all got the New Year's resolutions going or what?
Hell no.
Yeah,
No? Y'all believe in them or no?
I mean, I believe in them. They exist. But
but do y'all go with that or no?
I just stopped doing that. Yeah, no, because I feel like I'm setting myself up for failure when I do that.
Facts.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Okay. Well, so here's the thing. Like, I put this post up the other day, and I think I talked to you about it. I've always resisted audiobooks. My husband totally has gotten into them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I just always resisted them, but I decided to start doing them, and I'm obsessed with them. Right. And so I've read 9 books this year already. And one of them was Atomic Habits. And so I am doing that. So I'm doing daily trackers. So I'm just trying, my New Year's resolution basically is just me. It's just, it's nothing specific. It's just improvements on myself. And so that's one of the things I'm doing. And so I'm tracking my habits and trying to improve those and, stuff like that. But it's not a New Year's resolution. I don't know. It's destined to fail. I don't know.
I think it's New Year's resolution if you start out strong doing all those things and then by March you're not doing none of those things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like working out.
Facts. Big facts.
Those people always go to the gym. The gym's crowded in January.
Oh man. It's our you should just see them weaving out small, little bit by little bit by little bit.
And sometimes it's me too. You know?
Facts, yeah.
I go out strong in January.
Well, speaking to the choir.
Yeah, you know? But yeah, it gets like that. I think I do. You can always start something new any time of the year. But sometimes if it gives you motivation, you posted something with Pharrell, and it was basically you know what I'm saying? Just keep putting out the work. You know keep putting out the music. And it's even like this with this podcast. I was ready to come here by myself and do it, Not going to be good all the time, but you just got to keep putting it out, and then later the universe is going to give you something.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I inspired him the other day.
We did. You did.
Because I said, don't give up. Don't let go of this. I think it's good stuff. And I think, you're building an audience. It's not easy to build an audience.
Facts.
And it takes, I'm just learning a lot about this.
Yeah.
And so I think that you have a great network of people. You know a lot of stuff. And so I think your voice should be heard.
And I appreciate that. I mean, your story. I don't know if you want to share your story, but
which part? Which one?
I mean, with the student, the school,
So I was totally thinking about that on the way over here. I think we should invite him over one day. So I used to be a principal, an assistant principal, a teacher. So I was in education. I'm a business owner now. And I was kind of telling him the story of my wine. It has to do with a student. And it's one of those great turnaround stories, coming to age stories about a boy, but at the same time, he changed my life as well. He taught me about racism, and he really opened my eyes to it. I mean, literally opened my eyes to it. And when I saw it, it just changed what I wanted to do in my career. And so as a business person, I built a nonprofit organization and an LLC on the things that he's told me. And then it's about providing equitable opportunities for kids to have access to educational support, like free, low-cost tutorials, GEDs, and test prep, stuff like that, helping kids identify what their strengths and interests are, and helping them pick courses in high school and preparing them for higher education and showing them what those options are, that it's not just college. You don't have to go to college to be successful. Especially nowadays. Yeah. And people don't know. People don't know that. And I happen to be very lucky because I have a large network. And I know, having been a principal, all these different ways to meet your career goals without having to spend and have a debt of $100,000.
That's crazy.
So that's what I do. And it's all inspired by this one young man. And so I was kind of telling him about that. And so I'd love to bring him one day,
of course,
and us really tell a story, because I just believe in the way that the world works. And, I'm not a business person, but I left my job as an educator and things have just fallen into place. Like I have gained multiple partners. I actually offer mental health services now for students at $25 a session, no insurance required. Because mental health is so important. And
that's cool. That part right
isn't
there.
that amazing?
You say 25 session with even no insurance?
No insurance.
That's
$25.
Like,
yeah. So it's
I'll go back to school for that.
right. Exactly. Well, and they do it for low cost for individuals. I don't know what the cost is for that, but it's the app is Zant, Zant.
Mm-hmm.
So I met with their CEO last week, about a week and a half ago. Her name's Maggie Rose. And so that's what she's very passionate about, making sure that mental health access is available to everybody. And that's so important. So anyway, so like things are just falling into place. And when I was talking to you about it, it just like, I think it'd be amazing for him and I to share our stories because we have the same story from different perspectives. And so he told me about his experiences with race and school and discrimination and how that impacted him. And because he was a knucklehead, a self-described knucklehead when I met him, and I was his assistant principal. So like this was our first year together, was just button heads. But it developed into a great relationship. And so he's my why, he's my inspiration, he's my purpose. And I do my work. And so funny enough, a TED Talk application had popped up. And so I applied for us to do a TED Talk together.
Crazy.
Yeah. How cool is that though? Like we're talking about systematic racism in school and we've got a student and a principal perspective in the same scenario.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
Anyway, so I very much, so he is a coach for an at-risk program, not at youth at-risk program. So he pulls kids off the street, kids like him that were kind of gotten off the beaten path. Yeah, not going off. And he pulls them in and he coaches basketball. And so he's basically using the physical body, the love of the game to develop the mind and the spirit and give them purpose. And so I help the kids academically. He helps the kids, develop grit. And together, I feel like we're just kind of saving the world. And one kid at a time.
Yeah.
And so here our story is, I met him when he was 15 years old. I was 28. And we have this beautiful story that I had told you. And then, we went our separate ways. And then I left my job and developed this idea of a business. And I contacted him again. And so here we are. He's in his early 30s now.
Yeah.
And here we are. We're both trying to do
forgot each other at that too. Never forgot.
Now we're kind of each other's purpose, and I want to expand his program and into other sports and like it become an after school program. And Matthias is on the top of my list of people to bring on board because I think he would be amazing with our youth and inspiring and bring in football.
Music if you want to be down.
So, man, it's crazy that you was talking about that because of the experience. I can imagine you had this experience in school too of being discriminated.
Of course.
And even just being into music, me and my girlfriend right now, we're working to just expand on it because there's other people that want to try it but don't have the courage or the confidence. Yeah. So we're having like open mics for people to just start. I mean, just get their feet wet because I'm also getting my feet wet with it too, as far as like not just the musician but the person behind the musician. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like making it. Praising musicians that could play multiple instruments and sing and do all of it, and that's the standard now at this point in time. That would just elevate the game even more as far as like, okay, now it's mandatory that you have to play 5 instruments now because there's people up there at the top that's doing it themselves. You know what I'm saying? But no shade to people that just do vocals or they just do one instrument, but just having that wide perspective of understanding every instrument that gives you a bigger perspective of understanding everybody else because you can understand their language because music is a language. It's a way we communicate. If I can understand how you communicate to me and I can communicate with you, then it's a whole world of difference than a miscommunication.
Yeah.
But I digress. I could talk about music all day. But it's really just my musical journey and even being discriminated because I'll be in certain situations that people will say certain things that would be inappropriate. And I wouldn't say just because I am a black man, and it's always the second guy, if somebody say something appropriate, then I would have to lash out at them, then I would be in jail. Just understanding that. Right. But now I'm at
I'm away from stuff, or
not even like
slide off it.
I don't even walk away from it. I just address it because I assume that this person has never been around my culture or has never been taught how to talk to us. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'll just be like, next time if you talk to somebody that looks like me, acts like me, walks like me, they're going to react out of aggression because that's what we grew up with, was just anger. But now I'm in a position I was like, okay, I see where you're coming from. I understand that you're trying to give me a compliment. I understand that, but the approach and the energy was wrong. Yeah. So I just tell them with kindness, they'd be like, thank you for the compliment, but if you approach how you approach me with another person, it would be something different, something not me.
I get exactly
because I've been in it so many times.
Can you give me an example of like a situation that's happened like that?
Okay.
I love that you do that because here's the thing is that I always worry that I'm going to say the wrong thing. The intention is right, and you just don't know. And so I think that's part of the problem. And I can come back to an example of that, but I think that's something we struggle with. These are conversations we have to have, but people are very scared to have them because they're so afraid to say the wrong thing.
Yeah,
it's great to hear somebody say, "I'm not going to get mad. I'm gonna help you understand."
Yeah. I'm gonna be like, because that's setting that boundary, at least with me. Like you understand when I walk in the room, me. There's certain things that I will not allow, and I make that very vocal, and that's what I've been doing more, especially this year. I was like, I'm gonna be very vocal with everybody. Of like, okay, when you around Siah, the architect, I will not tolerate certain things, and I'm letting that known, and everybody knows that I'm making that boundary. And if you cross it, that's just automatic. I'm not gonna mess with you. Right. Like you don't exist to me type situation. But going back to your point, I ain't mean to cut you off.
No, I was kind of curious just to hear an example, maybe that you can tell us what is an experience that you've had, and how did the person respond when you corrected them?
Okay, so since I am a musician, I gig a lot everywhere. Like weddings, corporate gigs, small R&B gigs here, church, different scenarios, and I'll be in different scenarios that I'm playing bass. And people, that's my primary instrument is bass, and people truly like admire my bass playing, my showmanship, like that they're like really just zone into what's going on.
Yeah, Q said he saw you. He said, "Man, your cousin's badass."
And I'll usually have my get up, like I always have my hair upright. It's just my vibe. And people will walk up to me and be like, "Hey, I like your bass. Is your hair real?" Like, you know what I'm saying? They'll ask me if my hair is real. Some people would like inappropriately, not like touch me, but they'll like put their arm around me and be like, "Oh, you're my boyfriend now." Crossing certain boundaries with my looks. Mm-hmm. And people would be like, "Oh, you look like Prince," or blah, blah, blah. They'll kind of like bounce around it, and I'll accept it. But I'll be like, okay, like or they'll touch me too much. Because I'm a person of like, if I don't know you, I don't want you touching me. And then people will just touch me anyway. And then I'll just be like, we cool, we chilling, but don't touch me. That's just one of those things. I don't like to be touched by people I don't know because it's just an energy thing with me. And it'll be certain scenarios with my hair or just how I look or how I just walk or how I just play. It just will trigger something. But at the same time, I'm still in their environment. So they're comfortable in their environment. There's a lot of drinking, alcohol. So when you're comfortable in the environment, you don't really think about boundaries too much.
Mm-hmm. It's strange, though. I mean, what does your hair have to do with your music? I mean...
Exactly. It's just certain things you'd be like, okay, with certain people, that wouldn't be cool. You know what I'm saying? But I do understand the compliment. It's just like you say, having those conversations, because we'll be so afraid to have that conversation to say the wrong thing, But they'll be a little startled, but then they'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." But like, no, it's cool. Like, just next time,
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Well, I like that.
Yeah, I had a guy just yesterday, asked me. I don't believe he was trying to be racist. He was really trying to ask a question, but he asked me, why do black people like anime so much?
What?
Yeah, it'll be crazy stuff like that.
Stuff like that. I see a lot of black people are into anime, but it's not, it's Japanese culture. But how did black people get so into it? And I'm like, I get what you're trying to ask a question, but you want to relate to. But it's a lot of Americans like anime, so it can be like an American question at the same time. Yeah. Like, why do white people like anime? Why do anybody over here? It's not, you know what I'm saying?
I feel like as soon as you go into generalizations, you're in the wrong zone. Like that's
that's facts.
That generalizations are never a good question. I mean,
because
you're pigeonholing some group or some something. So that doesn't seem to make sense.
And I told him, like, I addressed it. He's like, man, I hope, he was like, that's not, that wasn't racist, was it? And I'm like, it can be interpreted as racist, but also, it could be a question for anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, what's the appeal? Why do people become such fanatics over anime? That would be like my question, something like that. Like, what is it that attracts people to it?
Yeah, that's a better question to ask.
Like, I didn't even know that was even like a stereotype.
I know, right?
I didn't know either. Like, I thought
it's everything. It's everything. Yeah,
I like anime,
especially for the character development. Everybody loves character development. Any type of story, character development.
Yeah. So it's just I don't know why.
That was
he only I don't know.
Or they'll. I didn't mean to cut you off, but just like real small story, or there'll be those times that you're at a bar or a social gathering where you with your homeboys and you overhear a conversation that people talk about slavery or they'll talk about black people like they actually are experts and know about it. And then you'll be like, okay, should we step in or not step in? Because there's been a lot of those situations too.
No, and even with hair, like when I cut my hair recently, it's like they do have a issue with just hair. Like, I don't know why.
Yeah.
But it's like hair is just fucking hair. You know what I'm saying? It's not nothing special, It's just hair.
It's just expression,
like,
really.
Like, if I cut it, if I grow it, it's not hurting anybody.
Literally.
So.
I was just saying that we do have some comments. There's some people watching.
Who's saying something?
So these are some people I know. Some people I worked with at Stratford.
We're on Facebook Live too, guys. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Facebook Live, YouTube, podcasting,
we got Siah, the architect over. You guys can't see him. Maybe we'll have something later on so you can see everybody.
So,
but follow us on YouTube, Not So Common NSC. So, that was pretty good. So yeah, your student can come anytime. One thing also before we get off of this is you said that I'm talking about the basketball situation. About getting into the game or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, the don't take no for an answer part is that was really just like inspiring too, because you heard no, and then you were like, damn the no. No be damned.
What he was talking about. So we were in Vegas. I was at a conference in Vegas, and it ended up there was like this NBA. There are NBA players, people everywhere, and I'm like, what is going on? So it ends up I find out that the winner's showcase is there. I don't even know what that is. So it's the G League out there, and all these NBA headhunters and recruiters and managers and owners are out there, and they're having AT&T is hosting a basketball tournament, and it's just for the G League players, and they're being watched to get recruited. And ends up my student Rodney was in Vegas, and he had seen some pictures. He had DM'd me and was like, hey, you're in Vegas, I'm in Vegas. And I was like, oh man, I would love to get us tickets to this. So there was this guy in the elevator, and he was wearing one of the tags, and I asked him, I was like, so how do you become get a ticket or something like that? And he balked at me and was like, there are no tickets. The public is not allowed. Like, it was very kind of condescending, but whatever.
Yeah.
Because now that I know what I was asking for, I'm like, oh, okay. And literally no spectators. And so I was like, okay. But I don't know. My heart of hearts, I was like, I can get us in. So I just like went and hunted around and looked for the right person, and I saw this woman, and I went up to her, and sure enough, I got us wristbands.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so really there's this book I'm reading, or I just finished reading as an audiobook. It's Never Split the Difference. And in it, it talks about how no is not rejection or failure. You have just found that person's boundaries.
Yeah.
So then I went to go find somebody else who had different boundaries. So that's really kind of what it really fell into that. So that's resonated with me. So, I mean, I just keep trying, I guess, until I don't know. There's just some things I feel like are going to happen. Like, my husband and I struggled to have my son. It took 2.5 years, but there was something in my heart of hearts that was like, it's okay. Like, this is going to happen. And it did. I don't know. I just get this feeling. And another one is the success of my business. Like, I believe in it. I know what I'm doing. I understand my solutions, and they're viable, and it's going to make a difference. And so, You know, it doesn't matter how long it takes to make the money or how long it gets to grow or anything like that. Yeah. It's going to happen. Right. Yeah. So it's just a matter of when. So I don't know. Just I guess I have that faith in you. I know your heart and I know the kind of person that you are. And so you're destined to something great. Whether it's what path that is, I'm not sure. But, you know,
that's I want to be president of the United States.
President of the United States. I don't know.
I'm related to the president.
Yeah.
A president, huh?
Just don't check my background, guys. But nah, I mean, that's good stories. And I wanted to have you tell all that and have that conversation just to bring it around back to the guy from Alabama.
Yeah.
Who, you know, it was two guys. One was a basketball player. Another one was just a random guy. And then they killed a girl. He was trying to talk to her. And I want to get on that because you say you're a student. He deals with trouble youth, and he was one of those. And then, you know, you got him back on board. And, you know, I guess you guys know the story is, you know, he approached the girl outside of I guess they were outside of a nightclub or outside of a restaurant. And she was with another guy already.
Yeah, her boyfriend.
And he tried to talk to her. She resisted. And the other guy who was with him is the one who shot after they say he got the gun from the student, you know? And it's just crazy to me to think that, you know, this guy's a basketball player. If he doesn't go to the NBA, he goes to maybe overseas. He can make some money, or he at least can graduate with a degree.
Right.
And have an opportunity. And what would make a kid do all that?
Well, and so I couldn't find any details about the interaction. Were they disrespectful? You know, I mean, and I'm not saying that, certainly I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm just trying to understand the context of the situation. Like, what inflamed it? Were y'all able to find, like, I tried to read more.
But. I mean, with the story as it is already, you can pretty much, I mean, tell how, you know, somebody tries to talk to somebody else's girl while they're there, it's going to be some disrespect in that, you know? There's going to be some hostility in it. So I'm pretty sure, you know, it was an argument. I mean, the boyfriend shot one of the guys, you know? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was all disrespect in there.
That's crazy.
To go up to another guy, a girl with another guy already is disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like, why did you need her?
See, okay, so, and I had mentioned to you when you had brought this up, I read an article this week about something called Covert Narcissism. Mm-hmm. And it's different now than the narcissism we once used to understand and know. And as you know, narcissistic personality used to be very large. Like you walk in and you can feel that person's narcissism. They just radiate it with it. They wanted to be the center of attention. But now covert narcissism, I think, is something that has developed because of technology. Like we've distanced ourselves a lot more from people. We kind of live in our shell. But it is, you know, social media has kind of put us on our own pedestal. And so we've developed this narcissism that's a lot more covert now. And it's not as obvious. You can walk in the room and be a quiet person, but still believe in your head that you deserve to be the center of attention, right? So that's what this whole like new wave of narcissism is. And I'm wondering, and that's what came to mind when I read the article. This is a guy that thinks, and here he is, he's a basketball player. Obviously he's talented. He probably sees great things for his future, which just feeds into that narcissism.
That's true.
You know, maybe he just feels entitled.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to bring up too. Like, do these kids today, they grow up feeling entitled?
Yeah. Especially if you're getting a constant approval, like constant good hearts, likes all day. That's like, I'm invincible.
From social media, they get see those hearts and likes.
Let me tell you something. This is super interesting, though. Okay, so this came from my son's kindergarten teacher, right? And I'd never heard this perspective before. But you know, there's all that debate of whether it's like spanking your kids, whether you should do that anymore and discipline, right? And like you get CPS called on you if you're out in public, people spank their child. So there's all that like concern. But in my family, I grew up, I got spanked. My son has been spanked a couple times. Like I'm pretty strict.
I've been killed before.
You've been killed and you came back. But I believe in that, right? So I'm having this conversation with the teacher. And she, you know, and I said, and I believe in positive behavior and rewarding that. And this is what she said that was so profound that I'd never heard before. She said, the problem with that positive approach is that kids think that they deserve a reward for just doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a really good point. Because my son always expects something if I clean out my room, what am I going to get? So you see, so when we're positively reinforcing that, that creates entitlement. And so I was like, wow.
But yeah, as parents, they do them. My parents, I mean, like, think.
That's crazy.
If they go to use the potty, you know, you give them a reward after.
And
I see that being a positive thing. But when she phrased it like that, I thought, and she was just stressing the importance that you have to have a balance of that positive, and you have to feel kind of some of that negativity.
Yeah.
But we've moved into this growing up of
that nobody don't want to feel pain.
Correct. We don't want to make our kid cry. We don't want to spank. Spanking is wrong and stuff like that.
Oh,
and I was like, but I'd never seen it phrased that way. And
that's crazy.
Like, I've seen it because I know a lot of people around my age who have kids already.
Yeah,
they don't treat their kids, you know, with the harshness that they were. And I don't want to say harshness, but the discipline.
They just put an iPad in front of them.
The iPad. True. They want to. I don't want to spank my kids. I want my kids to be better or have more than what I had. And sometimes that creates weakness. You know.
See, and I think it's natural for generations to want to give more to their kids than what they have, but you have to really understand what that more is. For me personally, you know, both my parents worked very hard. I stayed home alone. So for me, it's attention. So, you know.
Like to give the kids more attention?
Yeah. But giving more doesn't necessarily mean stuff.
Things,
I mean, great.
Like toys or whatever
our
they want.
kids spoiled. I'm not going to say it's not. But what I'm saying is I think that, you know, people have to understand it's not just giving them what they want. It's you've got to understand what it means to give more. Give more of what?
Right.
You know, and what is your childhood
attention
like?
in the right way? Like, I guess let them know that, you know, more love than anything.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then love can come in many forms too. So it goes so deep.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, but you have to figure. I mean, do you figure it out based on the kid's personality, or?
I mean, so for sure. And you know, if you've ever read the love languages, the
I've heard about it. I never read it.
Just Google it. Don't actually read the book. I mean, sorry, whoever. And the reason why I say it truly,
you know, he's one of my close friends on social media.
5-minute summary is all you need. Don't read the whole book. But, you know, it's just the idea that people feel love through different ways. Some people feel it via touch.
Right.
Some people get it via gift. Some is quality time. I think there's 5 or 6 of them, but those are 3 of them. And so that's how they feel loved. And so just identifying what it is that your child really, you know, feeds off of. And I think for Ryan, I mean, all kids, it's gifts. I mean, but quality time, I think he really enjoys spending time with us. And so, you know, Matt and I think, do a pretty good job of just spending that. When I was a kid and only child, I always was like, can we have a brother? Can you have, you know, a sibling? I want to have another baby. But you ask my kid now, he's 6 now, and ever since he could speak, I'd be like, do you want a brother or sister? Nope. I don't want one. So I feel like we've given him that.
Right.
But I just think it's really important that as parents, we just don't say, oh, we're just going to give them more than what our parents gave us.
And why does, not to cut you off, I wanted to ask a question, like, why has it always been a trend through generations? Like generations is like not really like trauma, but our like parents before us was like, we want to give you better, and then the parents before us was like, we want to give you better, and they just work, and it's like, why is that like a trend? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do we want to be like, oh, I want you to be better than us? You know what I'm saying? In a certain way, because you don't know where. I mean, I'm not a parent, but you don't know where that child might go.
Right.
But you just kind of pay attention and you nurture wherever they want to go. And I mean, once again, I'm not a parent, but I've always noticed that even like with my family, that our family is like, you know, we want to give you more. We're sacrificing our time for you to have a better future. But I never understood what that meant.
But that's what I'm saying is you have to understand how you have to define more.
You
know, is our parents' generations in the past have had much more traumatic events in their lives than our generations have. So that's why I'm saying being careful about saying you want to give them more. You know, I don't. That's a really good question.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So like even guys at my job, they tell me it's like it's something changes in you once you have a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When they say you never understand unless you have one, it's like these guys I work look like, I swear to God, they have daughters, you know, and sons, but these guys they could look like the hardest dudes in the world. once they get on the phone with them daughters, it's, hey, baby, this
is,
you will have tea. You will have tea and dress like a princess thinking for your girl.
They say you change.
You do.
You're more sensitive. You're more, it's the love. Like, they say they can't explain it. It's just like you have to have that kid to learn to really know why you want them to have more, why you want them to be better.
Yeah. Because we all struggle. And what you learn is you just don't ever want to see your kids struggle. You don't.
Yeah.
I think it's the good parents, though, that understand that struggle is a part of their growth and their learning. And, you call them helicopter parents or, wrapping them in bubble wrap kind of thing.
Right. That's funny.
If you do that, I think you're going to screw your kid up more.
Yeah, because they're going to be used to it when they go out and they don't know how to communicate in public. It's a whole thing.
Correct. And so redefining what it means to give your kid more. That's what's important. It's not more money, more stuff, more just excess. It is more of the right things, more wisdom, more learning them more values and grit, learning those more of that. I think that's what our generation, that's what we're responsible for our next generation.
I've seen, and this is my personal view, the parents who are the most, I guess, supportive, the most around, are the ones that themselves didn't have that when they were growing up.
Which is funny.
A lot of like guys in my job, who didn't have their dad growing up, or whose dad didn't necessarily nurturing. They're overly nurturing to their kids.
Yeah,
they're there whether they're tired or not for their kids. You know what I'm saying? And I find that interesting because, they don't know what it's like to be a dad.
Yeah.
Theirs wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
And they're just guessing too.
They're doing their best. But they know, all they know is, what did my dad do? He wasn't there. I got to be there. Right. What my dad didn't give me a hug. I got to hug my kid. The opposite of what wasn't there. They got to do more of that.
Right.
Same.
Well, and it's just because, like, one of the things I always say to people is that we don't grow in easy times. We grow in uncomfortable times and hard times.
Exactly.
And so you learn more about what you don't want to be than you learn about what you do want to be. Whether
it's true. That's big fact. Yeah.
And so Matt was very worried that he wasn't going to be the best dad, and that was something that he hesitated with. But I think he learned the things that he didn't want, and he's very present and that's something that's very important to him, and that's what makes him a phenomenal dad. Mm-hmm. And so I think that that's really true, is that and the thing is that, like, my mom, she's Korean, and they have a different way of showing emotion or not showing emotion, right? They're not emotional people. My mom can be very cold. And I'm the opposite. Like, I cry really easy. I'm very sensitive. I'm very emotional. Mm-hmm. And, like, I tell my kid I love them all the time. Like, I tell people I love them all the time. Mm. As a leader, like, if I want to write a book, and it would be leading with love. I would tell my team and my faculty, guys, I really appreciate your work. I love you for taking.
I would never leave.
But it makes some people feel uncomfortable.
To be loved that much?
Yes.
That's big facts, though.
Yeah.
If you're not in a space to receive love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, I do think that you learn from what you don't have, and you realize what you need. But I also think that is, that's healing. That's healing yourself.
Yeah.
Your own trauma is that you've learned a way to be healthy about what you didn't have, and you grow your own when you give it.
Yeah, that's big facts. Yeah. Dang.
And it's just, I'm actually in counseling now, and I found this really great counselor. She specializes in childhood trauma. Things that I didn't realize affected me, I am finding now did, and it was childhood trauma. And because you think of childhood trauma as like a situation, an event, like you were raped as a child or sexually abused, or physically abused or something like that. So I never thought that was anything that affected my life. So I'm learning a lot about childhood trauma. So it's interesting you had said that, like, why has there been so much trauma, and why are we having to compensate so much?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I see it in a lot, if not almost every person I see every day. There's like a compensation for something.
Right,
yes, absolutely.
And it's like that inner struggle with yourself to be like, am I good enough type stuff. Like, it's...
Oh.
And it goes so deep because I've just seen it within everybody, even within myself. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a perfect person. I see it within myself. But once you just get to a point of like, not even like loving yourself, just having self-respect for yourself, like it's like you have this routine that you don't break from because it keeps you in your rhythm. And when somebody comes along that they're off rhythm and they see your rhythm, either they'll learn from you or they'll envy that. Right. Not going too far off the subject, but I've really just been seeing like how things in the past affect people now, and you don't really see it. But now I'm getting to the point of we have to communicate what's going on.
Yes.
That's the stage I've been at since really last year. It was because of the people I've been communicating. It was like, although this might feel a little funny, this is how I've been feeling. Let me just communicate that so it won't boil up into an argument. And it was really just because you let the toilet seat down. Something. Yeah. Like something simple like that, not letting things boil, like let's address it right here. Let's address it right now. And I hold that to a high standard with everybody. I was like, if you're feeling some type of way, if you feel like I crossed any boundaries, let me know because I can't read your mind. You know what I'm saying? Like just communicate what's going on with you and we can meet at the table. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't want to communicate because of ego or they just feel like, oh, you did me wrong, so it's just there. And you feel that energy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going too far off this.
No, I feel like you're 100% correct about that, especially communication because I mean, a lot of mental health things that we go through, like
we can't
depression,
communicate.
anxiety, we don't open up, especially, I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, especially as black people, as black men, we need to learn how to communicate and talk because honestly, one of the biggest lies we always tell each other is, I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're really not good. You
Yeah.
know? But I think we hold so much, we're taught to don't cry about things, to go through it because that's what our ancestors had to do.
Hey, you know how much you got to compensate for that?
Bro. Yeah, that's how we're taught all the time. It's just to like, we may do it for a night, but joy come in the morning. It's like, it's morning now, and the joy's not here,
That's big facts.
We got to fight through it, and it's not true.
And that's kind of what my whole, like, going back to the very beginning when 2023, like, all these books that I'm reading have to do with that. Like, the first book I read was The Untethered Soul. Fantastic book. And the first thing it talks about is the voices in your head, the conversation that you have with yourself.
Yes.
And the funny thing is I've always thought that was my voice, just, I'm just hearing myself out loud, but it's not. You are the one listening to that voice.
That's crazy.
And so the Untethered Soul, this was like kind of like mind blowing. And what I really believe is that, with social media and we're hit with so much more. There's so much more stimulus in our life that we don't really have enough time now to stop and think and listen to those voices and listen to the irrationality and the negativity that it really clouds us with. And so I think that's part of the reason why, and it goes back to all this narcissism and mental health issues and stuff like that. Like our brains are so crowded with messages that we don't even realize that are there.
That's true.
And things that we're telling ourselves.
Crazy.
That's a crazy way to put that.
So that's like the first thing that I've kind of realized. And then another book that I just realized, I'm telling you, these books are like crazy right now. I just read The Gap and the Gain, and this has been really kind of revolutionary for me. It's not anything like big, but it's basically like, even in terrible situations, you're in a car accident and someone got hurt, but even in the worst scenarios, you have to take something out of it. You have to, and grow from it, or it will be toxic to you.
The balance once again.
Yeah, you have to find some sort of balance in it, or it's toxic and it will weigh you down. And then you constantly get stuck there, and then you live in the gap, and you're not making gains. And it talks about how it doesn't even matter how traumatic. I mean, they talk about like losing a child, like even, because I'm sitting there thinking, no, there's nothing I can come out of this in a game. I just can't. But it talks about that.
That's
and
crazy.
It's really revolutionary though. So, but it also talks about like happiness. It's not an end. It's the means. Happiness is the ends. It's not the ends. It's the means. So it's creating the gain in every single gap is what we're trying to look for. We're not going to wake up the next morning and joy's just going to be there.
You might get the complete
if we're
nightmare.
just looking for that cup of joy, just sitting there when we wake up, that's not what it is. It is literally our decision making. And here's a great example. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing this conversation. All these books I've read are so good.
Oh no, I'm listening.
Dan Jansen. So I don't know much about him. The famous speed skater. And so he was in the 1970s was one of the best speed skaters in the world. He was won all of these whatevers, but he had never won a gold medal. And apparently at the Olympics, he was there, and at the Olympics at multiple times, just some wild fluke thing happened, and he didn't win. It was his very last race of his very last Olympics. Mm-hmm. It was his worst race, apparently. And he finally said, you know what? It doesn't matter anymore. I am successful, and he started apparently thinking out. He stopped thinking in the gap. He started thinking in the gains. Like, I've got this beautiful family that I love. I get to do the sport. I'm a professional. I get paid to do a sport. It's not about this medal. That's something I want. It's not something I need. And it talks about and how needs put you in or want put you in the gap because we think they're needs. I know it's just resonating with you, aren't you? But anyway, so in his last race, and we should look it up at some point. Apparently, in his last race, of course, they said you could physically see the difference in his face because he was thinking differently. He was thinking in the gain. And of course, we know the end of the story. He won the gold medal for his very last race.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's all about how positive thinking, it really does shift how we feel. And I think it's lame because I feel like it can't be that simple. It can't be. I feel like I'm much more profound than that. But what do you think?
That's crazy.
I mean, positive thinking in the gain instead of the gaps.
That's crazy. It just goes back to the balance, like you were saying, because like, what is too much and what is too little, and just always find that sweet spot every time.
Right.
With balance. That's crazy.
I try to work on that too. That balance. Don't be so hardcore one way.
Because you could be 1/10 off to negative, 1/10 off too much positive. It could.
Yeah, because you know when we, like, say in my younger days, I'm trying to be a better person, right? And I read a book on this thing, and I gotta go, oh man, this is cool. I gotta be 100% that.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, there's still levels to everything. Can't go so hardcore. Let's just say, when you're working out or whatever, you find out, oh, my body, I need water. Oh, now I got to drink 2 gallons because I know my body needs water for me to be in the best. And it's like, no, it's not like that.
That's true.
You got to have a balance of how many. Everybody doesn't need the same amount of water.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
So let me ask you this. So talking about this, do y'all know any history on this Alabama basketball kid? Like, did he have a traumatic childhood? Do we know any of that? Like, I'm just curious.
I don't know his background.
Are there just people that A, are not that insightful about themselves, or B, are they so traumatized in their childhood that they are incapable of thinking outside of?
See, and my thing is, when he gave the gun to his friend, I mean, you know who your friends are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So did you wanted him to do the dirty work while or why? Why couldn't you just leave this woman alone?
Right.
Entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Entitlement. I want her. She needs to be mine.
Some people can't say take a no. But there's I want to ask y'all a question because there's your example, like you didn't take no from that guy and you kept on going through no's till you got to a yes. And then there's the other side of the no that is like somebody gives you a no, but it's like a rejection of like, I just don't want your business, but you try to keep pushing on that business. Right. It's a forced no, and then there's like that gut feeling no. Like there's two type of no's.
Yeah, and again, I think what you've so if I had kept pushing the boundaries of that person, I think that's wrong.
Oh, the boundaries with the no. Okay.
I also don't think it's right to necessarily go behind people's back and undermine them.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. But I just had a feeling that was that position, that person in his position's no. Yes. So I went to go see if there was somebody else in a different position that had a different ability, that had a yes in their toolbox.
That's what. If you've been talking to women, it's like, if one woman says no, leave her alone.
Then leave that one alone.
Go around to somebody else.
Because I know with the boundary.
Right.
Yeah.
But we gotta pick this up. And it's that time right now.
It
went by fast.
Oh, it's because I just kept on talking, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. So much. But no, I always appreciate you coming here. We gotta definitely do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I like y'all coming on here. So
yeah, for sure.
But anybody want to get some social media shout outs?
I don't know. Well, okay, yes. Let me just do a couple things. Number one, Education Alliances is my nonprofit. I'm looking for students right now that qualify for free and reduced lunch. If you know a student that qualifies for free and reduced lunch, please go to my website and apply. I am providing free services, helping them determine their strengths and interests and helping them find an industry and a future and helping them find a higher education institution. It's all for free for students that qualify for free and reduced lunch. So that's what I'm looking for right now. Kids, come my way. So if you know somebody, educationalliances.com.
Ooh, good.
I'm Siah the Architect. I got a few shows that's coming up, a few live shows. There's I'll post all my stuff on social media with my all my upcoming shows, but I think a few of them is just gonna be me and my homeboy on keys, and then there's gonna be a 3-piece. I have a 2-piece, a 3-piece, and a 4-piece band. So I'll post all that stuff on social media. That's Siah the Architect. That's SIAH _ THE _ ARCHITECT. I had to really think about this shit. But I'll post all of my upcoming shows on social media and looking forward to it. I got some new instruments that I'm willing to try on stage for the first time, so y'all be the first person to see it. So yeah, it's gonna be real fun. Like me and my band, we really been putting in a lot of months and a lot of manpower and a lot of great musicians from Houston on this funk soul album. Oh man, I feel like it's definitely our best work. We already have a band that's the Call Tony band. It's a funk band. I'm not gonna hold up the church service, but we just released our first album. Now working on our second album that we're gonna release on March the 24th. It's gonna be crazy. It's called Sweat. It's 12 tracks, and we plan on having everybody sweating. After that, it's a nice little workout funk track. So y'all look forward to that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Like I always love this.
Always come through.
This like my 10th show. I was there since the beginning with you, man. You have grown. You've moved multiple locations.
Yes.
You've had great success. I'm glad I'm still on the journey with you. This is like my 10th show with you. That's amazing. I love that shit.
Man, that video you put up the other day too, the Kanye remix.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna lie. But yeah, man, appreciate you always.
Somebody ended up wanting to get in on the track on that, so I was like, okay, that's cool. Yeah. One of my friends was like, hey, send me the beat. I was like, all right.
Yeah, that was clean.
Yeah, that's cool.
But you can follow the podcast at YouTube, Not So Common NSC, Spotify, Not So Common NSC, Instagram, Not So Common NSC, and we'll come up with more things to put this on later on. You can follow my own Instagram at Matthias_Dream. And what I got? Facebook too. Oh, Facebook. Matthias Wilburn. And I think we have Clapper too. Matthias Wilburn and Not So Common NSC. So all that shit.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. So once again, thanks for kicking with us, fam. Peace.